Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. And I also would like to say thank you to organizers for inviting me to making this talk. My name is Kirill Satarin. I'm a principal software engineer at Red Hat. Today, I will be talking about ARA. ARA is an Ansible community tool. And from my point of view, it's very useful for everyone, for people who are using Ansible, for people who are creating Ansible content. So in this presentation, I would like to demonstrate what ARA is, what are the benefits, and how can you benefit from it like right now. Basically, in 10 minutes, you can have ARA up and running on your local machine. And I will also talk about how you can benefit of using it for your team. So ARA stands for ARA Records Ansible. So this is self-referring acronym. And this is, as I said, community tool. This is a logo. And all the information, all the documentation you can find on the website. Yeah. So ARA solves the problem. From my point of view, it's a bit of a problem. Every time you run any Ansible playbook, any Ansible content, you have a console output, which is hard to look through, hard to search in this content, hard to compare to the previous runs or runs on different hosts. So ARA solved this problem and solved this very good, this very nice web UI. So why anyone would use ARA? Yeah. So you don't need to look at any console output. You have everything in nice web UI, always formatted, ready for you to search, to share it with your colleagues. You don't need to put any debug tasks. So this Ansible built-in .debug where you put something to understand what's actually happening in your playbook. You don't need those things because everything is stored persistently. You can check it later in 1 year to compare your playbook runs. So how can you use ARA? So first, this is an example of how you can run it locally on your machine. Later, I will tell about how it can be installed, let's call it globally, for the whole team. Yeah. So you just Google ARA Ansible Docker, and you will have few commands to run in order to run it as a Docker container locally on your machine. So here, first command just creates a directory to store all the data. It will be SQLite database, all your runs. Yeah. The next command will download a Docker container. In this case, Podman will be used as execution engine. You can use it as Docker, and it just run on local machine on port 8000. The next step you have to do is to tell Ansible, your local Ansible or any other Ansible engine. For instance, you can do the same, exactly the same from AP control node or from AWX control node. You have to do basically two things. First, install client. This is a Python package. Yeah, it can be installed globally, locally. The only thing you have to, next thing you have to tell Ansible where it is located. So this is the next line, Ansible callback plugins, where you set this variable to place on your machine, on your controller host, where Ansible should find it. And the next two are just pointing to the actual ARA server. In case your local machine, of course, it will be localhost. And for global machine or some remote machine, it will be different. After that, you don't have to change anything. You just run Ansible playbook as you usually would. Nothing changes, so you will not see any difference except everything will be stored persistently in ARA database. And you will be able to access it from the web interface. So how does it look like? There are three kind of screens how you can see the data available in ARA. So these are playbooks, hosts, and tasks. And they exactly what they mean exactly what their names are. Yeah, so in playbooks, you can see all the playbooks executions. So here you can see the date of execution on the report. This is, if you click, this is active link, you will see all the details about this playbook. Here is a file which actually represents the playbook. So all the files, so all the code is actually also saved in ARA. So you can compare the same playbook from the previous run or from the previous year. You can do that. you have information about Ansible version, you have information about controller host, you have a lot of data you can process. And of course, you have a lot of data, you have to search it. So ARA provides a lot of great capabilities to filter all your playbook runs by user on the controller, controller version, name, path, and label. You can filter out failed playbooks, last 60 minutes, and so on. Similar functionality available, of course, for hosts. So this is a list of all hosts any of your playbooks have ever been executed against. Yeah. So again, for hosts, there are not just list of hosts, it's whole complete information about each and every host, all the Ansible facts collected, everything, all the tasks and statuses. So here, for instance, you can see this is one against this host. There was just one successful task here, 5 tasks which were successful, not changing anything, 1 changing, and 5 skipped, and so on. So here I'm just showing the glimpse of information available in ARA. Yeah. And of course, you can filter by hosts as well. Yeah, here you can see this playbook ID, which actually very important from my point of view, and will allow kind of more advanced usage of ARA in the team. Yeah. The next screen is tasks. So each and every playbook at the end of the day contains tasks or actions. Yeah. So here you can also see them. You see there are 8,000 tasks executed in this particular example. Yeah. So again, all information, all input parameters are saved, all output parameters are saved, all the playbooks which this task belongs to, all the host information is all saved. This is just different viewpoints on the same data. And as mentioned, you can filter out all of this. Yeah, using some extended filters, and some filters even support like partial matching. Yeah, so just a summary. What information can we have in ARA? Short, everything you can think of isn't there. So it's much more information than you can see in the console. It's much more accessible, much more reusable, because each and every screen you can see in ARA is just a simple link, HTTP link. So you can share it. Of course, you cannot share it if it's on your local host. And this is actually main kind of part of my presentation, that you can install ARA globally. This is just HTTP. You push all the data through HTTP protocol, and you can consume it through HTTP, through your browser. Yeah, so you can do that. So how to do that? Yeah, sorry, missed the slide. Yeah, so you can install ARA globally. So there are many ways, of course. Here's just an example. As I did it on Azure. I would like to highlight some important things I see. I kind of feel. So Ansible itself does not support like any corporate authentication you might think of, like this 2-factor authentication and so on. That's why I have 2 containers. One container like for people, for employees or for your colleagues to access the data through the web interface. Yeah, this is this one. And one container supports just plain login and password information for authentication to push all the data from your console, Ansible core execution, or from your AWX executions, where you just provide login and password, which you actually should consider. This is just API keys, basically. Yeah, this should not be like a people. Yeah, and everything is on Azure Managed Service Postgres SQL database. This is just a cost example, how, again, I did it. There are many other approaches, and people, of course, saying like you shouldn't pay for overpriced cloud services. You can do that locally on your machine. It might be even a bit more secure if you are storing everything in your contained environment. Yeah. And this is for so-called app service. This is basically compute. And requirements for ARA are very, very low. So this 32 gigabyte Postgres, this is basically infinite for ARA purposes. Yeah. And 4 gigabytes of RAM, this is basically lowest I could find. Yeah. So this is very cheap even on Azure. So some drawbacks of using this approach on Azure. So we saw increase in playbook execution time just because of latency. ARA sends all the data to Azure, and then it has to get reply back to confirm. Yeah, there is actually work ongoing to make. It's not ARA thing that it's not asynchronous. It's more of a Ansible thing itself. It does not allow this kind of plugins to be asynchronous. Yeah, so this work is ongoing to allow Ansible to work with asynchronous plugins. So this is one thing. So of course, place your ARA server in the right location, either cloud region or on premise. Yeah, and of course cost. Yeah. So specifically, I chose this option as managed services because I don't want to manage two additional servers of one additional server even. Yeah. So that's why I have this. Yeah. So summary. I think ARA is tool everyone who is working with running any Ansible content or creating any Ansible content should use, because it basically non-invasive. You just forget that it's there even. Yeah, you just run playbooks. All the playbooks you run, for instance, I run all the playbooks. They're saved locally in my ARA on localhost, and I just forget about this, and I only check it if I need it. Yeah, and if you want to achieve many great things as ARA, use it like install it in shared instance. Yeah, use it as your team so you can share the links to actual playbook executions to discuss like what has happened wrong in this particular playbook execution and so on. And you can save them in like in pull requests if you have kind of test runs or something, because this is always persistent, will always be available. And that's all what I wanted to share today.
So when you're sending information out to ARA, do you have any capability to like pick out certain fields that might have sensitive data and not save that?
Yes, sure. So first of all, everything here, the last line, everything which is a no log is not safe, so it filtered out. And there is, I don't recall exactly, but there is ARA parameter which allows you to skip certain things. For instance, if for whatever reason you put secrets in plain text in your playbook execution, you can add this parameter and filter out these particular values. It's also possible.
Thank you.
ARA is very mature tool. Yeah, it exists for years, and I'm amused that not many people know about this.
So does it have the overhead, right, when we apply on top of Ansible? Do
So,
we use in production or in large scale?
Yeah, so overhead I've seen is the latency between client and server. So as I said, plugins, this kind of plugins, they do not allow, they cannot be asynchronous. So Ansible core should wait while there is a confirmation from the server. So it's back and forth always. Yeah, depending on where you put your ARA server. If it's on the local host, then it's negligible. If it's somewhere else for cloud, we saw some increase. Yeah. So if we had playbooks where like thousands of tasks in just one run. Yeah. So for each and every task, there is overhead of latency. Like if it's half a second, but it's 10,000 tasks, it's 5,000 seconds, it's more than an hour, right? So this kind of overhead we saw, and of course cost. Yeah. Thank you.